And I'm Dr. Alisia Moutry. Welcome back. Thank you. Oh, yes.
Beautiful, beautiful thing. I cannot start the show without our P and Ps. It is absolutely essential that we get the permission of the elders to speak as in the tradition of our ancestors and our culture. And it's also customary for us that we get the prayers of our mama specifically.
Yes.
And she has prayed that we have a show. And she said, I pray that the
She
people
did.
will listen. And she said, hey, Kweku, can you be as good as Simone was last
Yeah,
week? We
she did.
miss it.
Literally,
Simone, she
Simone.
was doing her thing. We appreciate you. She just honorary host on
Yeah,
Nyumba,
right.
Upendo, open door all of the time for her. Also in customary is what we do is we dedicate the show to somebody. And I had somebody I was going to do it, but my mother kind of switched it up. So I'm going to do
I
two
knew this
living
was gonna
people.
happen. I know.
And I want to dedicate this to my auntie. She is the matriarch of our family, the most eldest living person. All right, we call her Aunt Sue, but her name is Gertrude.
And how many
Spivey.
years did she tell
And
you?
92
years old.
So whenever you start thinking about people going into, three score plus 10, that's when you're
Yes.
blessed, Jermaine. That's what the books say, three score plus 10.
Yes.
So when you get another score on top of that,
That's
that
something
lets you
else.
know she's doing some good living.
Yes,
and,
indeed.
and she got a grandson who's the mayor of La Crosse. So you talk about
Yes.
the bloodlines going good. It's just some beautiful things going on. But also, I want to give a shout out to my brother Quasi. Y'all probably know him better as Horace Kraft Jr. And when I first met Horace, brother Quasi, he was like, I like you. And if you're going to hang with me, I got to make sure you can take care of yourself. So I didn't know what he was talking about, Jermaine. So he's like, let's go work out. But I'm thinking we going to the gym. I'm pretty strong. I'm like, let's do it. And he took me to a boxing gym. He's a boxer. He's a heavyweight kickboxing champion, goes all over the world. So we start going out, we moving. And, now I'm motivated. And, the man ego, he got me jabbing. He jabbed so many times, my shoulder pop out the socket. We got to call 911, go to the ambulance. He was like, why you didn't tell me? I was like, well, I wasn't going to stop because I didn't want him to think something. But from that day on, he was like, I got you. And when I talk about the things that he's trained me to do, but not just from a physical standpoint, but from an emotional standpoint, and I understood why he said, if you're going to hang with me, you got to be able to take care of yourself. And the biggest lesson that he taught me is what we would do is, man, we would go out every Thanksgiving. His auntie was a teacher. And it would be some families, sometimes wouldn't have everything. So without no cameras, without no TV or nothing, he get names. And they wouldn't even know we was coming. So we knock on the door. They see these two dudes. Like, who is it? What you want? And then he'd say his auntie name, that we was here from the school. We just had, some love. And then they just open us up into the community. But what he was telling me is like, listen, man, everything you do, you got to do from the heart. It's not for show, but it's also, you got to be prepared for everything. Yeah. And he has one of the, if you talk about a warrior spirit, and every time I think about when I'm not doing something right, like in a sense, like I'm getting too soft, I think of Horace, and I'd be like, what would Horace say or do to this? And so I've been working out again, Jermaine, because of my foot and whatnot like that, getting back in shape. So I got this spirit again. So everything that he taught me, trained me, I do in my training. So I just wanted to give him some love.
No, I'm gonna give him a little love too. I've worked out with him as well. He had me down the street flipping tires, one of those kind of work. Yeah, seriously, the truck tires. He for real. But one thing that I can remember about him is that we were talking about like when your kids get hit in school. He said, no, I don't teach my kids how to hit back. I teach them not to get hit.
Yeah,
and I'm thinking, that's a good way to consider that. That's a good way to think about that. Yeah, don't punch back. We moving,
we blocking, or we hitting first.
And he's all about like female safety as well too. So he's teaching me about different things that I need to do in case something comes my way. Preparing me with different things as I walk the neighborhood. He had me equipped. So I appreciate that. Not only me, but my boys too. And I could real quick use this time just to say, speaking of the boys, giving a shout out to somebody. My oldest son had a birthday yesterday, 28 years old. I thought about that.
I'm like, you had him when you was 5?
Stop it. Austin Moutry, happy birthday, 28 years old. And I couldn't be more proud of the things that this young man is doing. Oh, we sure did. That is right. Yeah. So I just wanted to make sure I give a shout out. Mom, you can be biased, but I tell the truth as well. He's a good young man with a good head. and he loved the Lord. So, I mean, what can you say about that?
No, he's one of my favorites in the world.
That's pretty awesome. So you were talking about Simone here
man, I was
last
almost
week.
scared to come back on the show, Jermaine. I was like, man, I said, I think I just want to listen to this. I'm learning.
That's so funny. But my mother was just like, yeah, I guess you could do it. But is Simone coming back? I was like, oh my God, don't do that. Don't hurt my brother.
Oh no,
like,
you didn't hurt me, because when I heard Simone, honestly, it's like sometimes you hear some stuff and you say, I didn't even want to be on this program, because there's some things you need to hear and some things you need to digest. Oftentimes when you do the talking, you can't do as much learning. So when you get a chance to sit back and you just get to hear it, and not only you and Simone, but we had some great callers. Christopher called in. We had a lady call in and talk about a relationship at 33 years old. So when you get the community to come in and to engage in these conversations, it just becomes so fruitful that it fills your spirit. But not only does it fill your spirit, it motivates you and encourages you to do better in your own life in so many ways.
No, absolutely. And so because of that, we had a lot of people calling in, a lot of people personal calls saying, you guys need to continue on with that. So, we do like discounts. And so when you go to stores, you are looking for discounts, right? You're looking at the sale rack. That's typical, right? But what this show was talking about is no more discounted relationships. So you can go ahead and get that discount on your car, get that discount on your clothes. Why you laugh when I said that?
I was thinking about that 5-finger discount. That's Jermaine was laughing over there. Ain't nothing wrong with that sometimes. I'm just playing.
But go ahead and get your discount. But when it comes to the relationships, you need to, again, we suggested that when you begin to think about the relationships as we talk today, we want you to think about maybe your romantic relationships, maybe the platonic ones, maybe the friends, maybe the family relationships. But we're saying no more discounted relationships. We want the full price energy only. So this is the part 2. So we started off by talking a lot about like the relationships. First of all, you talk about discounted relationships. We want to talk about effective relationships to start off. So I just want to recap that really quickly and then tell you where we're going to go from this morning. But we just talked a little bit about that, effective relationships. And so again, talking about romantic, family, platonic, friendship. We want you to know that there are some characteristics that come with this effective relationship. A couple things. I want you to think about it from the mental health perspective as well, doctor. We talked about it having to have mutual respect. It can't be a one-way street when it comes to that. It needs to be mutual respect. There needs to be open communication. And I mean communication where we're able to talk to one another back and forth. We're able to talk about the good, talk about the ugly, talk about the bad, right? So we need to be open. And I need to be able to feel like there's an open door. Like I can come to you with anything. I shouldn't have to hold back. So it needs to have open communication, and there needs to be trust. When we have this relationship, again, this is sometimes where it's discounted. I may trust you with some things, but do I trust you with it all? Can I trust you to come to my house when my husband at home by himself? Can I trust you to, you laugh about that one, Clark. I'm not even going to go there. That look you giving, I'm just going to keep on going with that one. But can we trust you? Honestly, if I have an open dialogue or something, I'm very vulnerable with you about some information. Can I trust you to hold that information? Can I trust you not to use the information against me at some point? And then the fourth one was just the support. When you talk about an effective relationship, I need to be able to give support. You need to be able to receive the support as well. And support comes in a lot of different ways. Support comes sometimes financial, right? Sometimes support just comes with time. Sometimes support comes with just listening, right? So support, I may need a ride. I may need some food. I may, when I'm sick, right? I may need someone to be able to support me and help take care of me. So those are the 4 areas. So Doc, I'm thinking just on a mental health perspective, when you talk about this effective relationship, mutual respect, open communication, trust, and support. Those were the big components. Do you, as you begin to think about that, what would you add to that, or how mental health plays a significant role in those things?
No, I think that is mental health, what you just said. All of those things. It's like, if I don't have a respect among you, then that's already an unhealthy situation. We think about it on the radio. One of my favorite artists of all times is Teddy Pendergrass, and he talks about this 50-50 type of love. That means where it's equal. I don't mean it's going to be equal all the time, but what he's saying is, as much as I love you is as much as you love me. And that comes into the respect, because when you really do respect, that's everything that you need. Because if I respect you, you can trust me. I'm not going to lie to you. If you respect me, you are going to take care of me when the times is down. If I respect you, all of those things that we talk about in the list, it automatically comes up, because if I respect you, It's going to show in how we communicate, because it's going to be powerful. I'm not going to denigrate you. I'm not going to make you walking on eggshells, whether or not you can talk to me at those times. And because I respect you, you can know that I'm going to hold those words to my heart inside my breast, and they won't be shared unless you give me permission to share them.
No, I love that. First, when you said Teddy P, I thought you were going to say, think I better let it go.
Hey, well, sometimes you got to.
Right. But that's actually a segue. So we're going to, again, we started talking about what the effective relationship is like. We're going to talk a little bit about how you build those relationships. But then I think today we're going to also get into two aspects of this. Yeah. What needs to happen when it's time to strengthen a relationship? Like I'm hearing this show and I'm kind of thinking about particular people and thinking, I need to strengthen that relationship. But then I'm going to go on the other side, speaking to Teddy P. What about when the relationship has come to an end? It's a season for everything, right? So we're going to talk a little bit and dig into a little bit about like, what does that look like when I need to put an end to a relationship?
Can I touch
Please,
on that?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I got a chance to write a book called Building a Better Man. We were talking exactly about this, about relationships. And we said it's these 4 stages basically. Okay. And so the first one was intro, like I'm introduced to you. And how are you usually introduced to somebody? Because we went to the same school, we live in the same neighborhood, we go to the same churches, some kind of proximity, or you have a friend that I have a friend, or a relative that I have shared together. So we're put in this space. So it's the introduction. That's the first phase of it. And then you decide, if I like this person, well, we go to the second phase where we increase the time we spend together, the amount of time we talk, and even the way that we talk with each other and the way it builds. And so you say, hey man, this person was my A1 from day one. It was like we met and we just knew it was something special. Or doing some people be like, man, I didn't even like this cat right here. Or, this girl, we didn't even get along. And then it bloomed into something, but it's an increasing phase. But now to your point, there comes a point where you say, man, that's got to end. That it served its purpose. Like it's no longer useful. It's no longer fruitful. I remember I had a good friend, me and him played football together. We did everything as the middle school years. And then we just started to drift apart by the things we were doing. And it was hard because we were friends, but we had to end our relationship as it was. But the last 4 is, how do you re-engage? I read this book called The Pack. It was about these 3 brothers from New Jersey. And they was, none of them had their dads primarily in their life, and it was just like, you know what, we're gonna make a pact between us 3, we all gonna become doctors. And they all became doctors, and it was just this beautiful thing. But a little bit later they was like, you know what, as successful as I am, something is not working. And they all went out and somehow in way re-engaged their fathers, and they was like these grown men, and they turned into little boys when their fathers came, and those relationships started to grow. They was like, it wasn't healthy at this time. But at this point in all of our lives, we're able to re-engage. And you say, you know what? Sometimes you split apart, but you don't have to stay apart, because sometimes you grow and you say, we both got mature, we both gotten wiser, or we both learned from our ways, or the person who was doing wrong is no longer doing that and is back on that track. So whether that's a romantic relationship, it's a fatherhood, it's a brotherhood, it's a friendship, it's those 4 stages. It's an intro, it's increasing, then it's the ending, then it's the possibility for re-engagement if the re-engagement becomes healthy.
Right. No, I love that. I think that's a perfect setup for the first part that we're going to dig into, which is about how do you, if in fact we have this relationship, and I'm thinking about somebody right now in the listening audience, I know that our relationship used to be this certain way, but it's not where I want it to be. What are the tips and what are the things that we can do to re-engage? So I'm going to like list a couple, and feel free anyone to join in. But the first one is, if in fact this person I want to re-engage, it's not the way it used to be. And it's okay if we grow apart a little bit, but if in fact you want to re-engage, one of the first steps is to spend that quality time together. Right. So you think about prioritizing the person. Is it in person? Is it virtual? I think about my girlfriends during COVID. We would literally set up time we weren't in the same city. So, but we did know that it was important. Matter of fact, I had to leave an event just recently, our uncle's event, because I do a regular virtual gathering with my girlfriends. One lives in Atlanta, one lives in Memphis, and we get on the line on the Zoom call because we want to see each other, and we have dialogue. There's no like set agenda, but we make it a priority to be able to spend time with each other. And we have a consistent time that we get together. It's probably quarterly, I would say, and it's a time that we set aside, and it's important to us, and we make time for it. Like I said, I was at an event right here in the city, but I was like, oh, I gotta go. I have this video event. So if you have to spend time with people, and that can look in a lot of different ways. What do you think?
No, because that's what I think. That's like in the increasing stage. It's like how do we work at making this friendship work? And it ain't got to be work like hard
Right.
work. It's just organic. It's like, hey, we going to the movies. Hey, we going to the game. Hey, we're going out. We're doing this. It's like those things that keep you close, keep you engaged. So I think the biggest point from that is saying, how are we intentional about making sure we stay in contact? How are we intentional about making sure this bond that we have, we respect it and appreciate it, and our efforts and actions show it?
Mm-hmm. What do you think about this? Is anybody in the room either? Have you ever been with somebody you say, I just don't have time. I just been so busy. Is that an actual thing? Do you really believe that people are so busy that they can't connect with you?
Yes and no. But go ahead.
Come on, Clark.
Yes and no. Yes and no.
And so when he said that, I'm with you, because it's like sometimes you are on the go,
Okay.
where you moving and you moving and you moving, but then there's sometimes where you say, but if you're important to me, I got to do a reach out. I got to be able to send something to you, especially in today's day and age when you can text, you can leave a voice message, or you could call and say, hey, I ain't got a lot of time, but I'm just letting you know. But the beautiful thing is when you got a real friendship, you can be apart for a couple of times,
right?
Whether it's a couple of days, a couple of months, and then you come back and it's just like this. And it'd be
never
like,
left, just like you never left, right?
My homeboy Miko, he'd call me, he'd be like, man, I ain't text you, ain't hit me back. And when he say jive turkey, that's when I know you need to hit me back right now.
See?
And then I say, okay, I got the code word. It's just our thing. But we got a caller on the line. Caller, you on Nyumba, Upendo. You got a question or comment?
Yeah, I have a question, sir.
Go ahead.
Okay, I was just asking Michelle.
Hey, can you turn your radio down, because we're getting a lot of feedback from you? Appreciate you.
Yeah, I actually turned it down. And I was asking Michelle, could she please revisit the connection with JB and the young lady, white lady, that cut the young man dreadlocks off, and he turned around and as being part of the NFL negotiation type of thing, whatever they were doing to interact with the community. He turned around and gave money to the very young lady on whatever the conditions there were, to the young lady that cut the black boy's locks off, because I was trying to explain that to a young lady this morning, and she said she couldn't find it anywhere. It didn't exist. I said, yes, it does. And I was just asking, could you please revisit that for maybe less than 5 minutes?
Okay, so that's a little bit different from what we're saying, but I will say this, because I know from a fact, if you wrestle, your hair can only be so long, but that's a disadvantage to certain people from a cultural standpoint. Mm-hmm. And it was this brother, they was like, hey, either you cut your hair or you forfeit this match. And then so the lady who had cut his hair was somebody who was close to him, so at least the cut wasn't like this just egregious cut, like I don't care what's something done, even though I hated to do it, I'm gonna do it for you, and it's gonna be done for love. And so sometimes you see people like that. That's part of the relationship. Because of the strength of the relationship, you can help people during a difficult time. Now, what I thought was that lady should have did is they all should have just took the L and forfeited and said, hey, this is more important than this match. That's what a real friend would do, instead of taking the easy way out. Say, no, we gonna all do this together, and we gonna all take the knee and take the L on that. But we gonna keep it going with this conversation that Dr. Moutry going on. But we appreciate the call with you.
Thank you for calling. And so just like picking back up, just talking about re-engaging, right? So we talked a little bit about the spending the quality time, and we were just getting ready to get into a little bit about, like, if in fact I really care about somebody, will I make time?
You're gonna make the time.
And that's where I was going to say, it may not be the same quality of time, but I'm gonna figure out a way.
He said, I'm gonna make time.
I'm gonna make time.
You don't know nothing about that, Ken. You don't know nothing about that.
But anyway, so the funny part is that you can be busy, but there are different things that you can do to show someone that you are engaged with them. And so you got to spend the time.
Words,
there you go.
You got to put that effort out in the forefront.
There you go. So what about show appreciation? So you're trying to re-engage. There is a need for you to show appreciation. How often are we saying thank you? How often are you acknowledging efforts and kindness of support? And so again, we're talking about re-engaging. I know we're talking about, again, being able to show the appreciation. Sometimes, are we always willing to actually say thank you, or to kind of recognize that somebody went out the way to do something for you? I hear you. We appreciate what? We appreciate the time to take a break. Time goes so fast. You're listening to Nyumba Upendo, House of Love, 86 AM, 106.5 AM. Easy for me to say. Oh my goodness, I've never got that tight tongue.
See you on the other side.
We'll see you in a little bit.
Welcome back to the Nyumba Cool and Dr. Alisia Moutry. Dr. Moutry, you had us going into about relationships. I'm going to do a quick rehab when we come back from the commercial, what we're talking about. So those who just came in, whether you're listening on the radio or you're listening on Facebook or YouTube,
Absolutely.
What are we talking about
Well,
today?
just backtracking from last week, we talked about no more discounted relationships, and we're looking for full price energy. So part 2 from what Simone and I did last week. And so we
Sister
had
Simone Kilgore.
I know, I love me some her.
From the boogie down below it.
Yes, and we already got another show topic coming up, so we'll come back to that later. But love me some her. So we talked a little bit about what that effective relationship looks like, and then we started talking today to talk about, like, sometimes there's relationships that you may have that you say, man, after hearing all this, I've got some particular relationships that I need to rekindle. I need to re-engage with someone. So we started before the break talking a little bit about, like, what are some of those steps to begin to re-engage. So we'll go over a couple of those. But then the second part of this, we're going to get into sometimes there's these relationships that we just need to face reality and say, there is no more. And again, we're not only just talking about romantic relationships, we're talking about platonic, we're talking about family. You can say, how can I end the family? There may be necessary. We're going to talk about some ways that you should determine whether or not you need to end. So we'll dig into some of those. But let's go back to the whole conversation about re-engaging folks when necessary, as far as relationships go. So we talked about 2. We talked about that, first of all, communication, being open and honest. We talked about spending that quality time together. And actually, before we break, we kind of talked a little bit about, hey, if it's important, you will find time to be able to make time for someone if you really want to. It may not be the same time that you were willing to give before, but you will find time. Showing appreciation, don't take stuff for granted. Little things that are done. Sometimes you just kind of take that for granted. My husband went all the way downtown to drive to get me a tiramisu and brought it home. I'm so used to it sometimes I forget to say, hey, thank you. I appreciate you doing that. So just
not taking things for granted.
Not taking for granted. So showing that appreciation, showing the thank you, or his t-shirts went to dry. I took them out and folded them. No, he didn't ask me to do it. That kind of stuff. Just saying, hey,
that's your job.
Thank you. Oh, I was gonna say your mama, but that's my mama too. Oh, sorry. No, that is not my show. We actually do our own laundry. Thank you very much. But again, being able to show appreciation when I can't stand you sometimes. Then the other thing, I'm adding a new one to it. Now it's called respecting boundaries. So if in fact you're trying to re-engage with someone, you need to understand what their boundaries are, meaning understand their personal limits and their space. Last week, Samoa and I talked a little bit about sometimes you can have friends and you have them for particular things in your life. But if they have different friends or other friends, we got to be willing to know that that's okay. And it's okay to set those boundaries so people know up front and right, and maybe the friendship kind of dwindled because some folks did not respect boundaries. What are you thinking?
That's just, how you start to think about this. You start to think about stuff that's personal to you. You know, you go to a funeral and you didn't really know the person, but you're crying because you can feel the hurt for the family, or you think about something along your lines. And I was just thinking, me and my daughter was having like trouble just speaking. We're in the same house,
right?
And it was killing me because what happened was I was going to get a colonoscopy. I needed her to do something for me. She didn't do it. So I was just like, I can't believe you was like ungrateful. As a child, I'm thinking she's a young girl going through, she got her period coming all the time, all other stuff. But at 15, everybody know. But I'm just saying, so she's going through these array of emotions and whatnot like that. I'm in and out the house with travel and stuff. And so you get to the point where you cannot talk and be in the same place. And it was just uncomfortable. And, she's stubborn just like me. So, it got to the point where you walking past the house, you ain't got to say nothing to the other person. And then as a parent, you say, okay, I got to put a hold to this. So I told her, I said, get in the car. We went down to the park. We went to the lake. And we just had to talk a heart to heart, saying, like why I was upset in the first place. She didn't even really understand that. So it was one of those things where you say how you re-engage. Sometimes the communication is a miscommunication. So you have to come in. But what it had to be a humble party. And because this was my daughter, I could humble myself because I was like, I'm the adult, I'm the dad. I have to show her after. So when she has a husband, she understands certain things, what should be there. So I was like, how can I humble myself, but yet keep my authority as a parental figure, but let her know like this, these are the rules of the house. Where's the respect? What's the things that's needed? And after that, it was like, I ain't saying like, ooh, kumbaya, because we had a beautiful relationship before, but it was just like, it was back to normal.
I love that.
So, but it was like one of those hard things where it's like, if you don't say something, this can go into something that it didn't have to be. But the re-engage is a humble piece.
It is.
Like, how do I be the first to say,
Somebody's got to do it, right?
Or to engage conversation, to approach, to be able to get that communication going.
Absolutely. And so when you have that open communication, it actually leads to the next one, which is sometimes we need to apologize and sometimes we need to forgive. So you talk about re-engaging. There's some relationships maybe that you're thinking about now that, you know, there's some hurt feelings. There's some things that you didn't like about some things that went down. The question is, who is going to apologize? Is there a need to apologize? First of all, let's understand, because maybe I don't even understand. I like what you said about that. She didn't even understand how she had made you mad. So thank goodness you had the open communication.
And, you know, it wasn't that I was mad. And I told her, I said, I was sad because our dad died of from colon cancer when he was 58. And so being the age I am, I'm getting close to that. So it's like I was going in for a colonoscopy. So I had these fears I didn't want to share with the family. But it was just like when I needed you, you wasn't there. But she's like, I didn't even know it was like that. But you think about it, it's so many times when we get like in a communication or a gap, sometimes it's not only a miscommunication, but it's like we don't understand what the other person's going through. And so when I think about like we talk about grief, you never know when something hits a person at another time and then they act a little funny and you thinking it's personal, you take it personal, but it's got nothing to do with you. It's something that they're going through right then. And then that starts to explode and it becomes that snowball of confusion, of miscommunication, of distance, and then it's harder to. So that's why it's good, like you said, just to be able to put out something for granted. Hey, I love you. I miss you. I miss our communications together. I miss our interaction. I missed you too. And then it comes back.
Opens, but somebody's got to take that first step, you know, to extend that olive branch. But the other part to that, what you were talking about, is really being able to address it early. So you talk about the snowball. You know, it started off with just a small thing. But again, as you are angry, things start to build. I think about not only just snowball, but think about fire. If you leave it unattended, what happens to it?
It grows.
It grows, right? And it burns. And it not only impacts what's happening right here, but that fire can grow so much that it can, again, it goes from my house to your house, to the next house, to the whole block area being taken. So when we talk about the apologizing and forgiving, we need to have that open communication, because the earlier that you address something, the better. Okay, got it. Okay, so then the other thing I was going to mention about is just being reliable and being present. Like there's nothing more important than to have somebody in your life that you say, I don't care what is going down, they're reliable. I can count on them for the good, the bad, and the ugly. The question is, if you're trying to re-engage, are you someone that's the opposite of that, where I thought I could count on you to do X, Y, Z, but every time you let me down, and then you let me down again, and then you partially let me down there. That's, again, if I don't address it early, guess what? That goes back to that fire growing or that snowball growing. I can tell you by your eyes, you got something to say.
You know, because I was thinking, obviously, you know, brother and sister talking. I was thinking of two brothers who were just talking. That was Shannon Sharp and Sterling Sharp. So Sterling Sharp just got elected to the Hall of Fame, and he was like, you know, he was excited about it because it'd been all these years. His little brother had got accepted, and he was the better of the two, but his brother had a longer career and so was able to get in. Long story short, he said when he got in, he said the Green Bay Packers reached out to him. It was like, hey, we want to do this. He want to do this. He was like, that's okay. And he was like, well, why would you do that? He said, because the way my career ended with him. He said, it's a business, so I don't expect anything from him. He said, but when I had surgery that ended up being career-ending surgery, nobody reached out to me. He said, I wasn't mad. I wasn't frustrated because it's a business. He said, but it let me know. So he was like, if you couldn't reach out to me then, and even though people in the building was no longer there, he's like, it left a bad taste. And it's the old meme saying, if you can't be with me at my bad time, at my worst time, I don't want you at my good time. He was like, because it's a parallel. It's like, how can I really share your ups with you if I haven't been there in the downs? That's the person, the parent who want to come to the graduation and to the game when you're in the championship, but ain't been there at the practices, ain't been there. They want to share in the spotlight, but ain't been there in the dark times and the hard times. So I think that's a big thing as far as, like you saying, being consistent. I'm there at all times in the dark and the light. You know, you can depend on me when you can't depend on other people.
Oh, absolutely. So that being reliable, again, if we're trying to re-engage, you got to be reliable, but you also have to be present. Meaning, as you said, not during only the good times. That's the easy time, but there, you know, be there during the tough times. But you know what it makes me think about? You and I've talked about this on many occasions. I think we're going to bring it to the WNOV station today.
Come on.
We've talked about those three people that you have in your life, and this comes from TD Jakes. He brought this up, and so when you start talking about that reliable piece, it makes me think about the first person that he talked about. So all my note takers, you may want to write these down. So one is the confidant. So when we start talking about that reliable person, that is who we're talking about, that confidant. And the thing about that T.D. Jakes talks a lot about is that when you begin to think about a confidant, you only have a few of them. Sometimes we think we got so many. There's only a few. They love you unconditionally. The
It's
good.
your inner circle.
That's your inner circle. Matter of fact, he says that this person, if you have 2 to 3 in a lifetime, you are a lucky person. But you need them to be able to move far. But what I need you to know is that they are for you, no matter what you have going on. They are for you.
Even when you're wrong.
Even when you're wrong, they in it for the long haul. They in it when you're in trouble. They in it. They want to share the good. That's the kind of people that you can share something with. I'm just going to finish the confidant. Something that you can share with, that they're not jealous of you. They help you to reach out to when you're trying to destroy whatever. Somebody, they're right there. There you go. That's exactly
the Golden Girls.
Oh, that is that song. I forgot about that. Yeah. But so when you're in trouble, they're also there. But this is that person again, that feeds you. You know, a lot of times we feed other people, especially in the line of work that you're doing, but they feed you, but they also feed. You feed them and they feed you. So that's what this one. So it's mutual. So we do have a caller. So I'm going to stop right there, but we're going to come back and get into the 3 people. So we've already talked about T.D. Jakes, the first one, and that's the confidant. Caller, do you have a question or a comment?
I got a comment. Let me turn my radio down first so y'all don't get no feedback.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. What's the brother's name who was just talking?
Brother Kweku.
Kweku. Hey, you was talking about you and your daughter, was having not an issue, but y'all was walking around not speaking to each other. Can y'all hear me clearly? Because it sounds like
you're perfect. You're
perfect.
Okay. I was talking about you and your daughter was having an issue and y'all wasn't speaking to each other, and you had to extend the olive branch, to kind of break the silence, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I guess my question to y'all is, what if you are the one who's constantly extending the olive branch? And I'm talking about relationship wise, not just, let me just say I'm talking about an intimate, thing.
Mm-hmm.
What if it's you that's always extending the olive branch every time there's a difference, and, one person don't want to speak to the other, or vice versa? No, I want to hear y'all speak on that off air, because it's 2 people listening. I mean, they can hear what I'm saying. So I don't want the radio to have the feedback, so I have to turn it down.
Okay.
So I just want to hear you address that, and I'm gonna hang up.
All right. And I love that call, because it's going to in 2 ways. Dr. Moutry was talking about these 3 personalities, these 3 types of friend, and I think it's going to go into that. So the first one she just talked about was the confidant. That's the person who's your ride or die. As it relates to my daughter, if there's anything I owe to anybody in this world, it's my children, because I brought them in. They didn't ask to come in. So I owe them a different level of appreciation, a different care than I owe anybody else. Now, I won't be completely disrespected, but if it's something where it's hey, if I have to be the first person to do it, sometimes there's certain people who you say, I'll be willing to do these things. But to your point, if this person is truly a confidant, they gonna feel the same way you do, and it won't always be you doing it. They'll do it sometimes. It's that reciprocity. But what you're saying is, I love you so much that I will extend it. It's almost biblical. How many times will I forgive my brother? 7 times? No, 70 times. So when you love somebody intimately and unconditionally, your thing is not who extends the olive branches, that we get this thing together.
Right. And we'll talk about it just a little bit later, but I do want to dig into one thing. We had talked about, like, how do you know sometimes when you got clear signs that a relationship needs to end? Now, it's not sometimes just one thing, it's multiple things. But I will say that one of the signs is that when things are always one-sided. Right. And so what I would say to that, as you mentioned, I think about when somebody is always being the one person that's always the one that's coming and always apologizing. Again, my question would be, like, what kind of open communication are you having? Like, if you're having these feelings that you're always the one that's always extending the olive branch and it's never being done to you, I recommend, this is just my own personal opinion, this is not the voice of NOV, this is a Dr. Moutry, but what I'm saying to you is that, are you collecting information so that when you go back and have this dialogue, you can say, you know what? We had a disagreement on this date. I was the one that came and broke the ice. It happened again here, and it happened again here in the last 4 or 5 months. And then have the question to follow up to say, when I think about that, it makes me feel like this is a one-sided thing. How do you, and like question the person, but come back with data, like to let them know that this happened. Because maybe just like Kweku talked about his daughter, when he made mention to all these things that he had been feeling and why he responded the way, she was sort of like, oh, I didn't realize it was that serious. So one of the things I would recommend is going to whoever you feel like it's a one-sided relationship and being very open and honest to say, here's how I'm feeling, and back it with, as they say, with some receipts to say, this is what's happening and this is the way I feel, why I feel.
Yeah, we got another caller on the line.
But thanks for your call.
We're going to get back to those other 2 points to talk about how, maybe these aren't the relationships I think they are. Caller, you're on WNOV Nyumba Upendo. Question or comment?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, call back. We're having some trouble hearing you. So while we're doing that, why don't you go through the second point?
Okay, so we talked about, again, TD Jakes talking about the 3 people. We talked about the confidant. Again, they are for you. You don't have very many of them, but they are unconditional. They're with you with the good, the bad, the ugly. They actually will tell you the truth about yourself sometimes, and you're more willing to listen sometimes because they're riding for you when they're celebrating. They're also riding for you when things aren't so well.
What's the old saying?
So, what's that?
A friend will help you move. A good friend help you move a body.
Okay. Wow.
That's the confidant.
That's the confidant. Okay, that definitely is the confidant. So that's number one, the confidant. There's a second one, and we call that person the constituent.
Okay.
So this constituent is different. So remember, the confidant is for you. No matter what you do, they're for you. But this constituent, they're not for you, but they're what you're for. So they're not for you. They don't really care for you, but that thing that you're for, they're into that. So not into you, but into what you are for. They also are, they never believe in you, but they believe for what you are doing. Right. They are, when you think about them, they meet the needs of you only if in fact it helps with their agenda. So they're not for you, but the things that you're involved in is helping them meet their agenda. So I'm all into you only because I'm getting the things that I need to have taken care of with them as well.
Who come in with 3 kids, don't care about you, but she care that you can take care of them kids, that you can put a ring on her finger, you can pay her bills, but can't do nothing for you. Is that what I'm trying to get this?
No, that's exactly that's exactly right. Because the thing about they could do that because they really weren't into you. They were into you can take care of what they can do for you. So you got to be able to pay attention and understand that constituent also, again, they are not for you, but they are for what you're for. But you need to remember they never were for you. It wasn't about you, it was what you could do for them, what you were involved in.
True friendship. So let's say there's two guys or 2 girls, or a guy and a girl, but they just have a platonic friendship. How does that one-sidedness look in that for the constituent? I don't. So if you're saying I'm a constituent, you tell I'm your son, and you said that ain't really your friend, boy. Look at how he is. He's a constituent.
Yeah.
He's there for you when you can take him to the game. He's there for you when you can go ahead and y'all can hang out and he know you're going to pay because you got it like that. That's what I'm saying.
Well, but actually I could even see that happening even with your children, thinking about to say, when my parents can provide this for me, provide that for me. I think you could actually have a constituent within your family. That relationship can feel that way as well.
So it's all takers.
It's all the takers. And again, they don't really care about you, but they care about what they can get from you.
But when they with you, they feel like a comrade.
Right.
That's the
But so here's the funny thing about it. They says if you're broken and you're broken very easily, you can mistake your constituent for a comrade. That's how people get hurt because they think that you are a comrade and into me, but I really wasn't into you. I was into what you for.
Because we said confidant, we said constituent. So
no, I'm sorry. I'm talking about the constituent. I'm sorry, and the confidant.
Okay.
So sometimes we can get those confused. So I think that you are a confidant because you do some things with me and for me, but you didn't care about me. You fooled me. You really were just doing something. That's the constituent.
The first caller. Sometimes you thinking, oh, this is a confidant, but they already told you really just a constituent to me. And that's why you keep reaching out. You saying, I'm giving you more than what you're giving me. And that's where to let you know, go back to Teddy. This ain't 50-50 like I thought. Right. You're showing me really who you are and what this relationship means to you. Caller, we see you. We're going to pick you up. You're back on WNOV. Nyumba Upendo. Question or comment?
Hey, I have a question. I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
This is the first time I'm listening to this here show. How often do you guys come on?
We come on every Wednesday at 11 a.m.
Okay. Hey, can you please touch on the subject of narcissism?
Narcissism, yes.
And how it affects relationships?
Oh, 100%. You know what? We're coming up on a commercial break right now. So what we're going to do, we're going to save that for the other side. So if you look on WNOV 6.5 FM, I want you to hold on, caller, because we're going to get to that. How does narcissism affect our relationship? We're going to talk about that on the other side. Nyumba Upendo. We love you, Milwaukee.
AURN News. I'm Jamie Jackson. The numbers are in, and for millions of Americans, the pressure is mounting. A new report from Nyumba shows household debt in the U.S. has climbed to a record $18.39 trillion, $28 billion increase in just the last few months. Now, the average American carries over $152,000 in total debt, a mix of mortgages, credit cards, student loans, and auto payments. Now, mortgage debt saw one of the largest jumps this quarter, up by $20 billion. Credit card balances also rose. The average person now owes over $10,000. Student loans slightly for the second quarter in a row, but still totaling $1.64 trillion. The average borrower only nearly $13,000. For AR, I'm Jackson.
Here's your updated forecast. Here is the smoke types here for today. Otherwise, mostly sunny skies with a high in the low 80s. Winds out of the southeast around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Winds for tonight partly cloudy low near 68. By Thursday, a chance for some showers and thunderstorms here late. Partial sunshine with outside low 86 degrees. Then by Friday, slight chance for showers and thunderstorms. Sunday, clouds and sun high 87. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Luchinski and AM 860 The Voice.
Hey, deal hunters, the shelves are loaded and our prices won't be beat at Fleet Farm. Get 5 quarts of mobile oil for just $21.99 after $5 rebate. Take 30% off all you can do with dog food. And all Rust-Oleum Painters Touch 2X spray paint are buy one, get one 50% off. From pet to pet to pickup. Let Fleet Farm help take care of all your data and needs. Always at the best prices, guaranteed. And check out all the weekly deals at FleetFarm.com. Get ready to walk in. It's time for the Summer Sounds Concert Series. Happy Thursday from 6 until 8:30 p.m. Located at Hayward's Tap in Live on film. This summer, get ready to turn up the heat with free film and video concert series. Electrifying nights of live music that'll blow your mind and shake your soul. Enjoy the smooth grooves and salty sounds beginning Wednesday, July 16th. Bring your cheers and join us at the intersection of 35th and Philly from 6 to 8:30 p.m. For more information, please call 414-431-2255. That's 414-431-2255. Hey, join me at the party for my show Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. on WNOB 860 AM, 106.5 FM, WNOB, The Voice. Welcome back to Upendo. Moutry, joined by Dr. Alisia. Right before we left for the break, we just got a call because we were talking about is switching 10 toes down, they go back to the Cadillac, we go back. This is the person who is for we get it, just this is a person moving forward. This is a person who makes you think and believe that they for you, but they want to put you for the things that they can give you. Those are the times when we start to say, this might
and it's proven evident to say that they're not, when it becomes dangerous is when you have a person who has great accolades. A society where we have this celebrity worship, where a person is achieved all the time. They are in the newspaper. Many people do want to person start so when you start talking about narcissism and other things, it's just that person who believes the world revolves around them. Everything has to be about them all of the time. They show no sympathy, no remorse for anything else. Right? And so again, we're just bringing back these points. These tips are the things that we're recommending are coming from TDJ. We talked about that confident they're for you. They're all about you, no matter what unconditional. Then you got the constituent. They're not for you, but they're for what you're for. Right? And what we want to just remind you that is if in fact that you think that you are dealing with a confidant, but it's really a constituent, that's where your feelings start to get hurt because they're not they were never into you. So you got to make sure you know the difference, right? So then there's that third one. There's the comrade. So this is interesting because they're not for you, they're not what you're for, but what they are against what you are, right? They team up with you to fight. There you go. But they team up with you just to fight the good fight. And then as soon as that victory has been taken, it ends. From a world standpoint, absolutely. Russia will not outright the war on World War II. The truth of what happened. And that so we need and the U.S. became not the big existential and the Nazis was over. And I was like, okay, well, we're going to have more peace. But now these two people want to have the power. Now we become socialist versus Democrat, democracy, people that. So you have that. Think about it as a plan. You got to believe, like, I think about everything. I think of everything. But we're fighting against this. We want to stop Donald Trump. We want to stop this. We want to win. We want to do basketball. But as soon as that event is over, we're not nothing together. Now you do that in a relationship. Oh, I think we talk about compromise last week. It's been hurt. Yeah, we find somebody who's stuff. Yeah, I know. But you know what they use this the combat they call this the scaffold frame. Yeah. If you go downtown, you saw they have the scaffold, they put that up just so they help you to be able to build the building. This for time. But when the project is over, guess what? That scaffold will come down. Can I give another down? Yes, please. Come on. Uh-oh. For a while. But once you back here, you're like, I need this. And that's how sometimes you have to be very careful about what role you play or people play in your life. And very careful, but also you need to expect. You need to expect your comrade and your constituents to leave your life. They are not in it for you, right? So as soon as the project or whatever they were getting from you is taken care of, they're out. So that's sometimes why we talk about being hurt, right? And we don't know exactly why we feel this way. It's because again, you thought that they were a confidant. You could have been that confidant. Listen, I'm going to chime in for this. When you said that it's for the simple fact, some people are seasonal. Yes. Some people are seasonal. Some people are around you just for that situation. Once that situation is gone, once that season is gone, then your time in that particular space is no longer. So some people put their feelings and they attach their feelings to seasonal people. So now you're expecting seasonal people to be around you forever, and they're only there for just that spring part of your life, or that summer part of your life, or that fall part of your life. And then when you attach yourself to them, to these people, and they leave, now your expectation is hurt. You expected them to actually stay and be there for you. Yeah, no, absolutely right. So we have an opportunity to talk about what you do to re-engage. We talk about these three people in your life. You've got your, as you begin to think about, you've got your confidant, that person is for you. You've got your constituent. They're not for you, but they're for what you're for. And then you've got your comrade. They're not for you. They're not what you're for, but they're against what you're against. And so you need to, as a listener, be able to determine
If you're thinking about now, what category do they fit in, and make sure make sure you understand where they are, right?
I'm just thinking about the callers. We use the term narcissism a lot. And sometimes a person can be a little arrogant guy, but that's not necessarily narcissism. When I'm looking at narcissism, I'm looking like this person has no feelings, no emotions for anybody. If it's not about them, it's dangerous. And to the first caller who called in was talking about extending the olive oil. If you love somebody unconditionally, you're gonna extend it as many times. But then to your point, what you said, you gotta recognize, am I extending it to the right person? Just because I love you like that, you have taught me what I had to tell you. Believe in the first time you told me, you gotta say, hey, what I'm giving you and get good. I have everything I have to give you. I want to give you. You're not worth everything I have to extend it to you.
There you go. And so that's not worthy of it. So we've talked about how you really get. But there are times that you need to finally put your foot down and say, this is it. I can't do it anymore. And so the question is, we need you to reflect honestly. If this is a fact of relationship that again, you don't think that this should be. Reflect honestly. Don't do anything mad or do anything where you're not in a good place. But reflect on it. Plan the conversation. Into closure. Plan it. Choose the right setting. You can't have these kind of conversations anywhere. Don't try to do it at a restaurant. Don't. There you go. Limit your contact if you have to. Maybe cut the contact a little bit to like kind of let you know. And then sometimes you have to actually break the law. Like I have this person in my life who's a boyfriend. What's the last thing?
Set it free. Because if it's yours, it's going to be better. If it doesn't, it's going to be one of my favorite scriptures in the Proverbs. Talk about the dog specifically. That's one of the Bible. But he didn't go out and do that. He said, I'm going to give you the money to go over. It was only when the boy came to himself and said, let me humble myself and come home. He said, I'm not ready to be a son. I just be a slave. I said, damn, I was like, oh, you're my son. Now that you back, I know you do it. So we ain't got to go through all that. But the father didn't go after the boy. The boy had to come to his senses and come home and the father was there.
How do you respond, right? No, that's absolutely right. So again, we give you a lot of information today. What we want you to do is to begin to think about when it comes to relationships. We don't have time for this kind of relationships. We want full price energy when it comes to relationships. So the question is, do you know what an effective relationship looks like? I want to go to Parker because Francie said
She
it too
did
long.
get explained it is.
Right, but I bet you that any know that it wasn't about her. It was about what he could get at something, right?
I think he loved that thing. I think she went down like purple in her
But doesn't mean it's supposed to be it. But anyway, I don't know. We don't know the end of it. We don't know that story. But what we do know is that we love you, Milwaukee, and we want the relationship that you put that time to be the relationship that's best for you. So we just ask you to continue to reflect on, again, is it your spouse? Is it your friend? Is it a family member? Reflect on whoever came to your mind as you heard this conversation today and make some good decisions. Open communication, being able to set boundaries, do the things that we kind of mentioned, and take some action.
The biggest thing I mean is we talk about like realize everything we say might not fit for everybody. So what we do encourage you to do is to say, I think all those are good points. Let me do some research, let me do some soul searching, figure out what's best for you. The whole purpose of this is just to have us to think and to put ourselves in the best situation so we can have that peace and quality of life that we all want. Brother Al Sharpton is coming up next. You've been listening to my YouTube channel, 860 AM, 65 FM.